I need somebody help, not just anybody help. You know I need someone help.
Anytime you do a science experiment, you have to allow for the possibility of error. That's what makes science science. We experienced failure quite a few times while trying to make rock candy for the first time. Hillary and I actually both had the same experience where we added a little too much sugar, so it was extremely supersaturated, while rock candy forms best when supersaturation is low. So although we added too much sugar and had to start over, there's different reasons why you might experience failure while making rock candy. One reason could be that your solution is not supersaturated, so it could simply be saturated and you may not have added enough sugar to the water. This way you can expect the sugar to crystallize because it wasn't all dissolved into the water and there wasn't any excess to form that seed for the rest of the sugar to start crystallizing onto. You want to make sure that you've added enough sugar and that you can see that sugar accumulating at the bottom of the pot. Another reason why you might experience failure while making rock candy is if you put your solution in a disturbed area while it was trying to cool. A disturbed area would constitute an area where there's a lot of vibrations or a lot of noise in the surrounding area, and this might disturb the solution from crystallizing properly. A third reason why your solution may not have crystallized properly is that your solution could have been contaminated. So this implies that something might have fallen into your solution, or even that you didn't cover the top of it properly. So usually you shouldn't seal the jar with saran wrap or anything of the like, but rather you should put something loose on top. So for example, I put a paper towel, poked a hole in the top of my skewer, and just let it sit loosely so as to not risk anything falling into my solution. If your solution does become contaminated, you should always start over. Something else that can impact crystallization is whether or not your container or jar that you're using is clean enough. Also, the type of water you're using could impact it. So next time maybe try using distilled water if you used tap water the first time and it didn't work out well. One last reason you may have experienced failure while trying to make your rock candy is that you left your solution in an area that was exposed to too much light. So the energy that comes from light could actually inhibit the formation of chemical bonds. So you want to make sure that the location you're leaving your jar in is a little bit more on the dark side. This image shows Hillary's first try at making rock candy. She added too much sugar, which caused the solution to turn into a solid, and rock candy did not form. This happened to me the first time I tried as well, and I was forced to start over. The second time around, we were conscious so as to not add too much sugar. Instead, we aimed to make a solution on the lower end of supersaturation, because that's how rock candy forms best. Note that in this example with the pink solution, the solution took a liquid form as can be seen. Hillary's solution was solid, and the solution did not move when the jar was shaken. Omar's attempt at making rock candy was successful because he added just enough sugar to make the solution supersaturated, but not so much sugar that the solution solidified. These photos of Omar's attempt were taken in the initial stages, and you can see that crystals are beginning to form on the wooden skewers, and that the solution is liquid, unlike Hillary's, which turned into a solid. Lastly, my attempt at making rock candy was unsuccessful like Hillary's at first. However, when I started over, I was mindful of not adding too much sugar, and my second attempt was successful. These photos show a progression of the crystallization occurring over the course of 7 days. By the 7th day, the sugar crystallized not only onto the wooden skewer, but also onto the mason jar holding the solution. This successful crystallization of sugar onto a wooden skewer shows that low supersaturation will indeed allow you to grow small to large sugar crystals on a wooden skewer. Although we did experience failure in some parts of our experiments, we learned a lot along the way. If your attempt is unsuccessful the first time, be critical, ask questions, and try to figure out why it didn't work. Then try again. Failing time and time again is necessary in science, believe it or not. As Thomas Edison once said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work." Keep this in mind as you go forth, and also remember that failure and learning are intertwined, and the more things don't go your way, the more critical you'll have to be, and the more you'll learn. Keep trying and have fun.
Help, I need somebody help, not just anybody help. You know I need someone